Hi guys, and welcome to another video from Stupid is the Norm, the channel where we demonstrate how to become a millionaire in 10 years whilst earning only minimum wage. And in this video I want to explain to you why it is that I sold my serviced accommodation property. Now, the question I've been asked most over the last 2, 3, maybe 4 months is, can we have an update on your serviced accommodation property? And I couldn't say anything because it's been going through the sales process for the last 5 or 6 months, and I didn't want to do anything that was going to interrupt that sale. So let's start from the beginning. I bought it in October last year, that's 23, for £110,000, 3-bedroom, mid-terrace property in Hartlepool that was in a great situation, I was told, for a serviced accommodation. So bought the property, there's a £10,000 furniture package to go in, very high spec, it was looking great, the photographs were fantastic, and uploaded onto the usual platforms, booking.com and Airbnb. And nothing happened. It was up for rent on a daily basis of £110, which was the going rate for serviced accommodation in that area. 2 weeks go by, not a sniff. And then we get a booking. Hooray! This is the start. It's all going to start coming in now. The money's going to start flowing in. So I got a booking for a weekend from Friday to Monday. And there was an attempted burglary whilst they were in it. So they wanted to be moved, not surprisingly. So they left. And then whilst they were out, we got another attempted burglary as well. It's not a reflection on the area. I think it was just that somebody knew the place was empty, and so some opportunist burglars decided to try and get into it. So, but it wasn't a particularly good start. So it's up there and nothing happens again. And then a month goes by and nothing again. And of course now, whilst this is happening in a serviced accommodation, you're on the hook, or I was on the hook, more particular, for the mortgage, which was £550 a month, the council tax, which was £110, and the standing charges for all the utilities. So this is money going out when it should have been coming in. So the letting agent had an idea, why don't we use some dynamic pricing here? Because it's quiet. It was quiet, not just in my experience, but everybody was saying it was quiet. It's going into the quiet season. It's over winter time. People aren't holidaying as much, going to the seaside, all that stuff. So we said, okay, I agree with that. So we put it up for £70 a night, and it started to fill up. It started to get really busy. And the money started to come in. It was coming in at about a rate of £2,000 a month, which is great because it would probably only rent on a buy-to-let basis for about £550. So you would imagine, therefore, I'm making 3-4 times the money I would from a buy-to-let property. Not the case, because the costs on a serviced accommodation are very high. Now, in general, this is a critique not about the whole serviced accommodation model, but it's just about why I think mine didn't work and why I decided to get rid of it. But you know, let's say if you've got £2,000 a month coming in, you'd think, great, £2,000 a month, we're rolling in it here. But as I said, the costs are quite high. So let me run through the costs. So you're starting at £2,000 a month. If they're booking via a booking platform such as Airbnb or booking.com, they charge you 20%. So there's 400 quid gone. Unless you're managing it yourself, you have to have a letting agent and they will charge you 20%. So there's another 400 quid gone. So now you're down to 1,200 quid. Then there's the mortgage at 550. So now we're down to 650. The utilities, a couple of hundred quid. That's down to 450. You've got Wi-Fi at 50. Now you're down to 400. Cleaners charge £40 a clean. And it's great if you have some contractors in there and they're booking them for a month at a time, but you're having 3 different sets of people in a week. That's 3 cleans a week at 40 quid a go. That's 120 quid a week. Now you're losing money. You're losing money big style. And then there's other things to consider. Accountancy fees. I bought through a limited company, so there's £110 there. And I haven't measured the maintenance yet. The maintenance come off. You've got 3 different groups of people come there every week, and the place doesn't get trashed, but it gets knocked and battered, and you've got to replace things and such like. And so I was funding it probably up to the tune many months for about 500, 600 quid a month. And it's actually costing me money, not making money. I'd be better off as I just converted it back to a buy-to-let. So I had to ask myself the question, is this serviced accommodation, getting me closer to or further away from my goal? Evidently, it was getting me further away because it was taking money out of my pocket instead of putting it in. So I decided to sell it. The state of the housing market now, or the sales market, if you wish, probably a better way to describe it, is when I first started buying properties sort of 4 years ago, it would take 6 weeks to buy a property. It's now, this one took me 6 months to sell the property. And that's why I couldn't give you an update, because I didn't want the idea that the guy who was buying my property was watching this channel and I was about to tell him what a crap property it was for a serviced accommodation. So it went through last week and I got £28,000 out of it. I actually lost about £10,000 on the deal. Although I sold it for £5,000 more, when you take in the £10,000 furniture package, the stamp duty, I probably lost £10,000 on it. So not a fantastic deal for me. So these mistakes and all these failures that I make are part of the learning process. So what have I learned from it? Well, I think if I was to advise someone to go into serviced accommodation now, I would try and get off the platforms as quick as you can. Now, in the early times when you're just getting known, it's difficult. But once people have stayed in, you need to get back in touch with them and say, look, if you want to stay there again, I'll knock 10% off the bill. Now, that's got half the platform fee because they're charging 20%. Yes, you're still not getting your full amount, but at least it's 10% more. It's 200 quid more. So it's worth doing. So that's one thing I would do. I would try and get as much as you can for it. I was knocking it out pretty much sometimes at half price, which is not ideal. You need to get it up to about £3,000 a month. I was making two, you need to get an extra £3,000. Now £1,000 to take it up to £3,000 because that's your profit. Unless it's being sold at maximum value, you're not making anything. Everybody's making money except you. The cleaners were making more money than me. Everybody was making money except me, and that's why it had to go. Next recommendation I would make was to be managing it yourself, if that's your bag. Now this is in Hartlepool, it's 40 miles away from where I live, so it's not really practical for me, and lots of people don't buy where they live because it's too expensive, so that might not be practical. But if I was living in the area, and I would definitely manage myself because it's an extra 400 quid. Again, it's where the profit's disappearing from. So you need to maximize your income, you need to get it off the platforms, and you need to manage it yourself. And I think that's probably the only way it would work. So where does he leave the whole project? Because I had 4 houses and now I'm down to 3, but I have got now, with the money from the property, the £28,000 I've made from it, I have got about £45,000 cash in the bank. So I'm in a position to buy property with my money if I want to. But if you're watching these videos for a while, you know over the last few weeks I've said that I'm now working with angel investors and I'm buying a portfolio of flats, not using any of my own money. So that money that's sitting in the bank now is just a nice cushion for me. And whilst it's been a little hiccup, but a big hiccup really on my journey, it's not slowing me down any, because now I'm buying portfolios using other people's money. And so I'm still pretty confident, more than confident, I'm going to get there to make that $1 million in 10 years with 4 years left to go. So I'm all right. So am I telling you not to get into serviced accommodation? Of course not. Am I telling you not to get into HMOs? No, of course not. All I'm doing as of everything in this journey is just recording my experience so you can learn from the mistakes I make. Do it for yourself if you want. Do your due diligence. Do the things I said you ought to be doing, managing it yourself, maximizing income, get it off the platform and make some money, guys. Good luck. Don't be stupid and don't be normal.